My name is Demetrius Jackson. I'm an apprentice at Restored Justice, and I was sentenced to natural life, 2 natural life sentences. My age at the time was age 17.
James Swansey, policy manager at Restored Justice. I was 17 at the time that the crime happened. And this is important to me because I'm a former juvenile lifer.
My name is Wendell Robinson. I'm program director with Restored Justice, former juvenile lifer.
Wendell is an amazing guy. He at age 17, I think, was incarcerated and sentenced to life without the opportunity for parole, in essence sent to die in prison.
25 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days incarcerated.
Because of the Miller decision and the work that was done on his behalf by his attorneys, he's now a free man and contributing enormously, I think, to society.
Miller versus Alabama was a monumental Supreme Court ruling.
Miller v. Alabama basically was a decision that made it unconstitutional for juveniles to receive natural life without the possibility of parole. Basically what it was at the time, the judges had no discretion. It was either natural life without the possibility of parole, not guilty.
What Miller did was ask a question, which is, was this sentence imposed after consideration of youth-specific, youth-centered factors that were focused on that particular young person and what they had been through in their life. Things like their background, their education, their family, circumstances that, as the court said, that child could not extricate themselves from.
Well, Restored Justice comes from Joby Cates's brain. It's a thing about human responsibility, about crossing borders.
She began work establishing Restored Justice following the Supreme Court's Miller decision.
I think it was the product of Joby and the people she worked with, looking around them and kind of saying, okay, how can we step in to the void here and take on an issue that many people don't want to take on. These are not easy cases. These are not easy issues. These are, in many cases, situations where someone has done a terrible thing. And politicians don't necessarily have an appetite to address that. And the popular thinking was, why would they want to do this? Maybe they wouldn't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. But it turns out that when they have to sit across from one of their constituents or someone who is a loved one of someone who's incarcerated, or a person who has come home and is doing good in their community, it changes them.
Restored Justice is really unique. We're focused specifically on young people who are sentenced to extreme sentences for decades. We are focused on making sure they have an opportunity to come home, especially when they've demonstrated that rehabilitation.
A lot of the men and women come out and they really want to do good and they really want to contribute. And that might be youth mentoring. It might be helping improve conditions of confinement. I don't think it does anybody any good when someone gets a prison term, removing their freedom is the punishment, and to continue to heap it on doesn't help anyone.
I think it's important that Restored Justice has been able to hire a number of formerly incarcerated people because they are the people who understand the issues. They're the people who have suffered through the difficulties of the failures of the criminal justice system in Illinois. And they bring a perspective that those of us who care about these issues but haven't experienced them could never contribute to the process.
Being an apprentice means a lot. to help guys that I left behind, directly helping them and getting them the information that they need to possibly come from behind those walls and being able to help my family.
Oftentimes people don't understand how important that is to come home and just to have a wage. That relieves you of so many problems, just to have a wage. But on top of earning a wage, to have benefits, and then a space where, you know, we have a culture of restored justice. We love every store. We love the shit out you at Restored Justice. We're gonna wrap our arms around you, right? While we stabilizing you, and we gonna like amplify whatever it is that you do naturally.
When Joby was like, no, you're gonna work for me and we're gonna pay you and we're gonna give you benefits. You can go to the dentist, you can go to the doctor, you can, you know, you have this freedom financially to do things that you didn't think you was gonna do. I was floored, and she was true to her word. I started working for Restored Justice 1 week after my release.
We are going totally against, you know, what people like to think about our carceral system, it being a landfill. Those places, gold mines, like seriously gold mines. I can say for a fact that I'm not an exception. I'm definitely an example, because there's so many people that's still there, that if they get the opportunity, will do some really amazing stuff.
Having people with lived experience return home and be part of these conversations is so key and so important to changing the narrative and to opening people's minds and hearts to treating people differently, especially young people.
My story is powerful, our story is powerful, and I don't think no one else could do it but us, because when you talk to a legislator, it's easy for somebody else to be like, well, you know, these guys are really good guys, or these guys need a second chance. But it's different when that guy's in front of you and you can feel his presence, you know, and he can tell you who he is, you can see who he is, you can feel it. You can, you know, it's different when I'm in your face and you see what I do for a living and you see the skies are falling and I'm paying taxes and I'm not getting in trouble and I'm probably a better citizen than most. So I think that it gives legislators a different perspective. Not all, but it changes some minds, and that's all we want. We just want to change minds, or the chance to change minds.
I think another place we've made a big impact is in our advocacy for families, making sure that families can have more visits with their loved ones. We're going to start working on retroactivity next, which we're super excited about.
Retroactivity is you look at the people who are sentenced under the old law. In other words, if we're changing the law, it's because the law was wrong, because we didn't have enough information when we made that law. So why would you not go backwards and say, oh, we kind of found out that we should treat kids different. You should get a second chance.
We are going to introduce a bill to allow people that are currently incarcerated who were sentenced under juvenile life without parole to have the opportunity to have a parole consideration. So we want to make the bill we just passed retroactive. We're also going to be introducing legislation from the Resentencing Task Force. This task force is something we worked on this past year, and it'll be a pathway for people who currently don't have meaningful opportunities to be considered for release so that they can have a second look at their sentence.
The act of bringing back incarcerated people into their communities really creates such a positive force in terms of the impact it has on other young people who may otherwise be at risk.
We have taken away fathers and brothers and grandfathers out of entire communities.
I see Restored Justice really restoring communities. They do things that no other organization I know about have done.